Praveen, ready, go.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for joining tonight. My name is Praveen Samala. I represent Telangana American Telugu Association. I am the legal and immigration chair. I have my co-host Dinesh joining me today. He's RBP of Arizona. TTA is one of those organizations which works in the best interest of the community. And we want to host the meaningful and insightful webinars that which requires basically the need of our webinars, I would say. So that helps the community to understand the current challenges and how do we mitigate those challenges, how to get along with those challenges, and also provide some insightful insights. That way, like you understand, what to do, what not to do, how to react, and how to keep yourself appraised of everything, whatever happening in terms of legal and immigration things. So, thanks to amazing TTA leadership team, so our president Naveen Reddy Malipeddi, and founding members Paila Reddy Garu, and we have a lot of other big leaders who created such a great platform to work in the best interest of the community. Today's webinar is about the changes happening in the upcoming cap filing for fiscal year 2027. And there are a lot of issues going on, and the dates have been pushed back for visa stamping. So consulate issues and and we are going to discuss about those updates, as well as a lot of people are aware now, like ICE has becomes the ongoing the most discussed topic. So how we have to what has to be, like, we are gonna discuss with our attorney about do's and don'ts about the current administration and what's happening with the ICE rates. And also, yes, and one more important topic is Project Firewall. So what is the current trend, and how do we deal with that? And about H1B site visits, and what are the complaints that we have to be following and adhere to, and a lot of other like miscellaneous topics that are very important. And with that said, let me introduce Banu Virendra, one of the most prominent attorneys in the US, and he's a managing attorney and founding member of BVI Law Group. So Banu Garu has been very helpful, and he's always, a phone call away to help the community when the community demands any legal advice or any immigration related issues. So, Banugar services include family-based immigration, EB-5 investor visa programs, corporate compliance, INN and E-Verify compliance, naturalization matters, and and a lot of immigration matters and litigations and whatnot, right? So he works in the best interest of the community all the time and is always available for us. Thank you so much, Banugar, for accepting to join this webinar and sharing your insights about the current trends. So. Yeah, and I would hand it over to Banu Garu. So Banu Garu, the flow is going to be like you're going to talk about the topic that we discussed.
Mhm.
Then probably I'll start off with my few Q&A, and then we'll leave it to the participants to ask some questions. And my co-host Dinesh Reddy Sudala will be taking you over from there, and we'll end up with the thank you note. Thank you so much, Banu Garu.
Sure, Andy. Thank you
Over to
very
you, Banu.
much.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Praveen Garu. And first of all, I would like to thank the entire TTA organization members and especially the current president, Naveen Pelapati Garu, and everybody in the board and entire leadership team of the TTA. And I think making this timely webinar on immigration laws is a very, very important. And I'm really thankful for inviting me to be part of this webinar and making me part of this webinar and to discuss major important issues about this particular webinar is what we are trying to address is one is recent changes to the fiscal year 2027 cap filings. What are the changes and when the cap is going to start? Those are the things which we are going to discuss about then. And then we're going to discuss about other issues, what Praveen has discussed it. But in the beginning, first and foremost, we'll talk about the H1B cap registrations. As we all know that every year, individuals who want to seek an H1B status in this country or H1B visa to enter into this country to work in this country, they have to go through the lottery registration, H1B registration. And this year, the H1B registration is starting on March 4, 2026, 12 p.m. noon Eastern Time. And it's going to close on March 19th, 2026, 12 p.m. Eastern Time. And this registration can be done only electronically by the employers on behalf of the employees or a prospective employees whom they intend to hire in a specific specialty position. So that's where the H-1B registration is this year. And once the registration is done, properly submitted and completed, then the selection notices will be updated by the USCIS before March 31, 2026 this year. So individuals will be able to file cases from April 1, 2026 onwards till June 30th, 2026 for the fiscal year 2027. And to submit for the registration, as we all know that USCIS fee is $215 per registration for each individual, and employers cannot do the multiple registrations on behalf of the employee. There is no duplicate registration is allowed even now also, and those are all the same things which have been in the past years is going to be this year also. But most important thing and most important changes from previous cap season to this year is that this year if they get registrations more than 85,000, that includes advanced degree cap and also regular bachelor's degree cap, then the selections, lottery selections will happen based upon the wage-based weighted selection process. What does it mean is that higher the wages, higher the skill level position offered to the employee, they will have more opportunities to get selected in the lottery, or they'll have higher possibilities to get selected in the lottery. That is the difference this year compared with the previous year. That means this year, employers are required to provide what are the wages being offered to an employee, at what level these wages are being offered, what is the position they're going to employ him, maybe the work location also where they intend to hire him. And they have to provide all this information besides the minimal information that is required to submit for the registration. And the minimum information we are fully aware because we have done in past few years, the employer basic minimum information and the employee minimal information. That is employer name, federal ID, address, and the signatory name and title and the contact details. Same time with the employee name, employee country of birth, and employee passport details. And that's the minimum information what we have to provide about the employee in the registrations. So major difference is that it's going to be wage-based weighted selection process this year instead of just based upon the entry. Why it is so important is, as I said, it's going to increase the chance of getting selected in the lottery, because if you pay higher wages, that many entries you will have in the lottery. That means, for example, if you're filing in the level 4, because wages are determined in four levels by the Department of Labor, level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4. If you file it in level 4, you'll have 4 entries into the lottery system. If you file in level 3, you'll have 3 entries. If you file level 2, you'll have 2 entries. If you file level 1, you'll have 1 entry. Point is, once these things have happened, there could be several issues can come once the lottery is selected, and by the time you file an H-1B petition, And what are the issues can come is, for instance, if you registered for the lottery for a certain address, and if that address location changes to the employee, how are you going to file an H-1B petition for that employee? Because in the lottery, it did not mention that information. And regulations are a little bit vague on how to handle those situations pertaining to the lottery registration. We are assuming that if the changes are bona fide in nature, and if you can document that at the time of registration, at the time of filing, maybe USCIS will be okay with it, but we do not know that yet. So these are the complications we are going to face from the time you register and submission, and by the time you file H-1B petitions and everything. But if the position changes, if the location is same, then salary has to be higher or equivalent, then you're okay to file H-1B petition for that position as per the understanding of the regulations. Otherwise, it can cause a problem for you in the future, how you're going to handle this cap registrations and everything. So there are going to be some complications will arise from the time you register and till the time you're going to file an H-1B petition, depending upon what changes were those and everything. So those are the things you have to understand. And other thing is, you can submit registrations on behalf of any individual whether it's inside the country or outside the country. But point is, if you file an H-1B petition for the individual who are outside the country, then you may be subject to pay 100K fee to hire that employee as an employer. So that is something which you have to keep it in mind. If you're submitting registrations on behalf of the individuals who are outside the country in this lottery. Okay. So
Sorry
that
to
is
interrupt. Sorry to interrupt. Somebody is saying they are not able to hear clear. Is it only him or everybody else is also having same issue?
No, I think like it's very clear. I don't think like we
Uh,
have any issue.
I'm also
Okay.
having problems. It's kind of a muffled voice, actually.
I'm
what
not
about
able to
now?
hearing.
It's better. It's better.
It's better.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Maybe it's a connectivity issue of on either end up, either my end or on their end. That is a possibility sometimes, and sorry for that because this webinar sometimes can have this kind of inconveniences, unfortunately, due to the
That's fine. Seems like
connectivity.
it is very limited people. That's fine.
Yeah. So that is what with the cap registration is, and employer has to provide what position they're going to hire in, and what level of wages, what level of position it is, whether it's a level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, and the wages that are going to be offered for that individual. Okay. So and the work location also. You have to state the work location because your wage levels and your wage is determined based upon the work location also. That's where work location also will be required to be provided in the registration. These are the changes which are implemented in the new system, and we have to do that. How we can submit a registration for the lottery is that employers are required to open an account, online USAS account, to submit the registrations on behalf of their employees. If they already have it, it's fine. If they do not, then they have to open an account and submit on their behalf. If they have an attorneys, they can add representative accounts to their accounts and allow the attorneys to prepare and submit those registrations on their behalf. Okay. And so that's what it is. As I said, USA is going to notify by March 31, 2026, whose registrations have been selected and who can file an H-1B petitions on behalf of the individuals. As we said, still it will be beneficiary-centric selection process. That means if multiple employers submit the registrations on behalf of one beneficiary, and if that beneficiary gets selected, then all the employers will be notified that beneficiary has been selected, and all those employers will be given an opportunity to file an H-1B petition, just like previous years. So it's still beneficiary-centric selection process, plus the selection will happen based upon the wage-weighted selection process. So that is the difference from this year to other years with the H-1B cap, Praveen Garu. And next topic, do you want me to go on to the next topic, Andy, or any other thing needs to be discussed over here? Dinesh Garu, do you want me to go with the next topic?
Yeah, please go ahead. Yeah.
And the next topic which we want to discuss is about the visa stamping issues, right? At the consulates and everything. See, the discussions, what we are doing here is keeping in mind of the people from India only, okay? And also, I failed to provide a disclaimer in the beginning, me discussing about these updates and everything is that all these discussions happening during this webinar is meant for the general awareness purposes only. It does not constitute a legal advice or create an attorney-client relationship. Should you need any legal advice pertaining to your particular matter or situation, kindly feel free to reach us privately, and we're very happy to discuss in detail and guide you properly with your immigration matters. But this webinar is meant for general awareness purposes only. So please keep that in mind. So whatever we speak in a very generic manner during this webinar. And this call, the second topic is about the visa stamping and the consulate issues, updates, and everything. Especially if you are an H-1B visa holder or H-4 visa holder, we are telling them to avoid traveling to India, especially if you want to go for the stamping. Reason is, until recently, the people who have been scheduled for an appointment until February, March 2027, 26 have been postponed, and these appointments have been postponed to them till next year, January, February 2027, on the grounds stating that they implemented a new policy called social media vetting for H-1B and H-4 visa holders. In order to do the social media vetting, they need a time. That's why they're postponing these appointments by canceling all the existing appointments for these individuals. And because of that, a lot of people who travel to India in the month of October, November, hoping to attend for the interviews in December, and January, and February, have stuck in abeyance right now for so many months right now until the next appointments will come in. And there is no guarantee that even those appointment dates will be honored for them or not. And again, they can be postponed also. Now, yesterday, day before yesterday, we have seen people who have been scheduled in the month of March and April, and those people also have been scheduled. Their appointments also have been postponed till next year, January, February, March, even some of them into July 2027 also. So it's taking long time to schedule these appointments unless you have an emergency and you can document that you qualify for that expedited emergency processing and seeking that emergency appointment. Without seeking an emergency appointment, do not travel to India unless it's really, 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 really important in emergency. What I mean to say important emergency is weddings are not important. Celebrating parties are not important, or celebrating some other events are not important. If there is any health condition or health emergency is there, it's understandable. Okay. But make sure that try to avoid traveling because of this visa issues for H1Bs and H4s. As far as B1, B2 is concerned, F1s are concerned, they are being scheduled appointments normally, so they should be able to apply and come into this country. But you all know that B1, B2 appointments are also a little bit delayed compared with other appointments in Indian consulates. So try to seek those appointments also as early as possible if you're trying to come to US to visit for a certain period or anything like that. Second thing is, even if you have a visa in your passport, still we will advise you avoid traveling unless it's really necessary. Because for pleasure, you do not have to travel abroad, even if you have a visa, because suddenly some policy can come in, something can happen with the current administration, and they may decide to do something, and they may restrict everybody to come into this country. And if that happens again, you'll be stuck. You may lose your job, you may lose your opportunity. And if you lose your job, if any employer has to file an H-1B for you until September 2025, you'll be subject to 100K fee. So try to avoid traveling at any circumstances if you can. This is only my suggestion. It's not required by law because there is no travel restriction, but still, this is our suggestion to everybody. What we are seeing, what's happening, it's very, very important. That is why we wanted to just give a brief introduction. That's why we put it as one of the topics in this, because I know a lot of people will have questions, I believe, on these topics during Q&A, and we love to expand the discussion more on this topic during Q&A when people have questions about on this topic. And do's and don'ts during current administration ICE rights, right? Very important. This topic is a universal topic for everybody, irrespective which country national you are from, where you are from, and whatever it is. If you are a green card holder or if you are a non-immigrant visa holder, especially if you're a non-immigrant visa holder, if you're an F1 visa holder, if you're H1B visa holder, or you are some other visa type of holder, O1s or L1s or M1s, J1s, whichever type of visa you have, you are staying in this country, make sure that you have these do's and don'ts. First thing is, when you come into this country, please go to I-94 website and check your I-94 status. Make sure that your I-94 is accurate to the information, everything correctly. Your name, your date of birth, your passport information, and your admission validity date also. Till what date your I-94 is valid, please check all that information. It's very, very important. Reason why it is, in case if you did not check that, and if your I-94 expires, which is issued online, if that is your latest I-94, and that is the one which come into effect, because then that is the I-94 which actually governed your status in this country, and because of your failure to check that, will render you being out of status. If you're out of status during this administrative ICE rights, they can place you in a removal proceedings. If you catch you anywhere on the streets, if they stop you, if they pit stop you at the gas station or anywhere, you can end up in trouble. That's why it's very, very important to go and check your I-94s Make sure that information, everything is proper and accurate. Take a printout of those I-94s and keep them with you all the time. It's very, very important. If you're going somewhere, if you're filling a gas in the gas stations or anywhere else, if any ICE officers approach you, be polite to them. Don't be rude to them. Ask them what is their concern and speak without feeling any stress or any fear or anything like that. Talk to them very properly. Make sure you carry your immigration documents with you. Although it wasn't necessarily required before, now I think it's a good idea to carry proof of your immigration status in this country. Like, for example, your citizenship documents or your green card documents or your permanent resident documents or your non-immigrant documents like your I-94, valid I-94, your H-1B approval notice, or whatever it is possible, carry them with you. Keep the copies with you, not the originals. Keep the copies with you. If somebody stops you, talk to them politely. Ask them who they are and what is their name, what is their badge number, on what authority basis they're questioning you right over there. And then you can provide all the information is needed to them. Although it's not required, but I think it's a good idea to do that because we know what's happening with the current administration, right? They're not caring about it. They're treating people like rudely, arresting them rudely and everything. And we cannot use the term rude. Maybe that is the instructions they have got. They're doing their job. But we know what's happening. They're arresting everybody. They're pit stopping everybody. And we do not know whether it's legal or not as of today. Because I believe some of them are not legally correct, but we are not here to make those kind of decisions, those kind of judgments right now, because we're here to make sure that we don't get caught into those situations. That is why it is important for us to be polite, to be mannerful, to the circumstances where you are in the country you are living in. It's very, very important. And do not do mistakes. Like mistakes means don't drink and drive. Don't speed your car. Don't do petty thefts. Like, these are the small petty thefts. These are the problems. Going to the grocery stores or some convenience stores and not paying the bills for them is not a good idea. Please do not do these things in the current administrative ICE rights and everything, because they can arrest you and they can put an immigration checkpoint on you so that you won't even get a bond and you will be end up in the prison or a detention center for a long time until your criminal case is decided as well as your immigration case is decided. And this is what is happening with many people right now during these ICE administration rights. So if you get caught by DUI, they're basically arresting you and they're putting the immigration check on you also, especially if you do not have a proper status documents or anything like that. And when they do that, they're not going to release you on the bond also. And you'll endlessly suffer in the detention center quite a long period of time. It's very, very important, especially in some states where ICE activism is very heavy. Just be more cautious, be more careful. That's why it's very, very important not to drive aggressively. Make sure you wear your seat belt. Make sure your children are wearing seat belts. Because if children doesn't wear seat belts, they can charge you with a child endangerment welfare, and child endangerments basically with their welfare and everything. And that sometimes, depending upon the state where they're charging you, they can be misdemeanors, and that can actually cause you into trouble also. So be careful. Wear seat belts. Very important. Make sure that your children are wearing seat belts. Your family members are wearing seat belts, even if they're sitting in the back also. You don't want to take any chance with those things. Even if the law is not required for them to wear seat belts in the back, but make sure that they wear them, and drive carefully. Don't drink and drive. That's major important thing which I would like to tell everybody. Don't drink and drive. Don't get intoxicated in the public areas. Okay. And don't create public nuisance. Like means don't be loud, don't be annoying in the streets or public places. It's very, very important for us to maintain that decorum and that etiquette so that we don't get into trouble unnecessarily. And especially my advice is just be careful with the petty thefts. Okay. And make sure that and carry your I-94s and your proof of immigration documents with you all the time. For example, if you have an H-1B status or H-4 status, carry your H-1B approval notice or H-4 approval notice. Keep them with you in your pocket. keep the copies, as I told you, not the originals. It's very important. Okay. Just to be on the safe side, we are telling you this. It's not, if you want to say you can, legally it's not required, but to be on the safe side, we are advising you to do that, because tomorrow getting into headaches, getting into trouble, getting caught into this administrative aggressive enforcement policy will cause unnecessary headaches. Just to avoid those headaches, we're advising you or suggesting you to do that. It's very, very important during these administrative ICE rides. Okay. And the third thing is Project Firewall. Project Firewall is mainly meant for the employers, not for the employees or the individuals who are in this call. But this topic is meant for the mainly for the employers. What Project Firewall is basically is that it was actually commanded by the White House, by the President of the United States in its executive order, where they issued the imposed 100K fee to the Department of Labor, saying that they want the employers who are filing these H-1Bs and other non-immigrant visa petitions to conduct the Wage and Hour Division Department of Labor audits to determine that all these employees are being treated well, are being paid properly or not, are being placed in the working environment which is safe and in the equal working conditions as any other US workers working in that country. So previously, those audits used to be done by the Department of Labor only when any employee files a complaint against the employer with the Department of Labor for non-payment of wages or for some other work-related discrimination or any other hostile environment created. For that reasons, this audit used to be conducted. But now, because the president itself directed the Department of Labor, now Department of Labor is in the process of implementing this Project Firewall. It has not been done yet completely in many places, and we are going to see very soon how it will impact the companies and employers and the employees as well. Because if the employees are found in problem, the employee's status also can come into effect sometimes, and their status can be in jeopardy also at those times. So it's important for the employers to make sure that they are in compliance with the regulations. So Project Firewall is mainly meant for the employers. I know that a lot of TTA members are also employers who utilize the H-1B program, and that's why I wanted to include this topic during this call today. It's very, very important for us to have this careful in order to do what Department of Labor looks into is to see your compliance with the H-1B regulations, whether you're properly maintaining public access files or not, and if you're maintaining proper public access files, whether are you providing the copies of the LCA to your employees or not, and your employees are getting paid as per the promised wages as per the H-1B petition or not, and whether are they placed at the same work location where H-1B petition and LCA stated their work location or not. These are the things which they are going to look into, and for each violation, they can penalize you up to $250,000 per each occurrence, depending upon how egregious these violations are. Usually, most of the times, that won't happen because they look into all the facts and everything. If they're first-time offenders, for most of the offenses, they may forgive you for first-time offenders, but some they may find you in violation. And if they find you in violation, they can debar you from filing H-1Bs in the future, or they can determine you as a willful violator, which requires you to conduct a recruitment to find a qualified US worker prior to filing of an H-1B petition. And also, additional attestations has to be made by an employer at the time saying that they did not lay off or displace any US worker by hiring these H-1B workers within the 90 days past prior to the filing of an H-1B petition, LCA, or 90 days after filing of an H-1B petition also. So please keep that in mind. So that's why this Project Firewall is going to be a big thing for all the employers. It's very, very important for them to self-audit their files and everything and being in compliance with the regulations. I-9 regulation, I-9 audits, I-9 compliance, and the public access file compliance is very, very important with the Project Firewall. Okay. And the third one is site visits and compliance issues. Okay. And this is where we see the problem all the time from the employers as well as the employees. Despite us saying 1,000 times to the employers and the employees about the site visits, still we see a lot of uh, uh, volunteer, what do you call voluntary mistakes are happening by the employers and employees during the site visits. Why I'm calling them as a voluntary mistakes is you're providing the information which is not correct or incorrect, or which may be not in compliance with the H-1B petition that has been filed on your behalf. Especially with the employees, we see this problem. If any officer walks into your office, to your house or your work location, wherever you are in, if your house is your work location, if they walk into your house, you don't have to answer every question they ask you at the time. You can ask them who they are, what is the purpose they're coming. Some officers may be very intimidating, maybe forcing you, but you don't have to. You can tell them, you can set up a time and ask them to come at the time, and then you can review all the information on your H-1B petition with your employer, and then you can answer the questions what they ask you pertaining to your employment and when you're staying in this country and all these things. But what we see is these employees suddenly, because of the fear or whatever the reason is, they try to answer questions. Sometimes it can jeopardize their own immigration status in this country. For instance, if your H-1B petition filed for level 2 or level 1 position, the employer must have not stated how many years of experience is required for that position. He might have just stated the educational requirements for that position. But if you say that position requires 5 years of experience or 10 years of experience, or even 3 years or 4 years of experience, if it's a level 1, level 2 position, then it is not complying with the H-1B petition what you filed. That itself is subject to a revocation of that H-1B petition, and you're going to see the notice of intent to revoke or notice of intent to deny issued by the USAS, because employer and employee is not in compliance with the H-1B regulations because they did not comply with the petition what they filed. They misrepresented the fact in the petition that the position does not require any experience, but you admitted through your own words that you require that experience for that position. And this is where we see the problem all the time with the employees. Even if we tell them also, they don't listen. Employees don't listen to us most of the times. Even when we tell them that you have to tell this, you should not say that way, means, no, why shouldn't they say that way? If I require to say position requires more experience, then I'm very qualified for this position, right? Then I'm in more genuine guy. No, you have to comply with the regulations, what you're putting with the H-1B petition, what is being filed. It is very, very important. And you do a lot of mistakes during these interviews about your salary, how you're getting paid, and all those things also. So it's important. Take a time from your employee, from the officer, tell them that you're very happy to talk to them, or you can tell them that you don't recollect the facts, you're going to look into the facts and get back to them, ask them to send an email. And there's nothing wrong with it. Okay? Because sometimes you may not remember, because you may be nervous also while talking to the officer. You can tell the officer, officer, I'm nervous because I suddenly showed up in my office. I need some time to breathe and answer these questions and everything. So please send me an email. I'm very happy to answer these questions. You can do that. You have right to do that. And that is not in non-compliance or non-participation in the site visit by asking those things. Same thing with the employers also. Employers also can do the same thing as well. Not just employees. They don't have to answer questions immediately. They can take their own time. They can tell the officer that they're going to set up a time and meeting and everything, and they can come at the time to their office and meet with them, and they can talk to them. Or they can send an email asking for all the information, and employees can provide that information through the email. These are the things you can do, because if any petition filed after January 17, 2025, then you are required to participate in the site visit. Even if you don't, then they can show your non-participation as a non-compliance of the H-1B petition, and that can be used as a reason to deny your H-1B petition or revoke your H-1B petition by the USCIS. So if the petition filed prior to that, then participation is voluntary. You don't have to really participate. So keep that in mind. The date is January 17, 2025. Okay. So all these factors are very, very important to these employees to understand and answer the questions. And please do not lie to the officers when they come to the site visit and everything. Tell the truth, because lying can jeopardize your future. Telling the truth might cause you temporary inconvenience to you, but it won't jeopardize your future in this country. So that is what is very, very important. Way to draw the line where not to draw the line. We need to understand and we need to make sense of that while we are doing these things. Same thing with the F1 STEM OPTs, right? Even F1 STEM OPTs, I SVEP like to do the site visit audits for the F1 STEM OPTs. Only difference between the F1 STEM OPTs and the H1B audits is H1B site visits is H1B site visits, it's random and they don't have to give you any prior notice coming to your house or your work location or to your employer or to your client where you're working to verify about your H1B employment. Whereas F1 STEM OPTs, SVP always have a practice giving a prior notice to the employers saying that they're coming to their office to verify their I-983s, whether they're in compliance or not. And they would like to interview certain employees in the company so that they can verify whether employers are in compliance with the Form I-983 and the STEM OPT requirements or not. Okay, so that is the difference between this F1 STEM OPT and the H1B site visits. So for F1 STEM OPTs, at least employers will be given prior notification so that you can verify all the information is in compliance or not. If not, you can actually make a valid, you can discuss, you can make sure that why they're not in compliance and you can provide that valid reasons to the officers. And you have to understand this, for both the site visits, you have a right to representation of an attorney. Okay, and most of the times your attorney representation is already there in the files with the H1B filings, because when you file an H1B petition, your attorneys will be submitting their G28s as a representatives for those matters. So the representation still continues even after the adjudication of the petition until they cancel their representation in that matter. So you have a right to representation of an attorney, and you can tell them that you need your attorney's physical presence also, during the call or during the interview, in-person interview, whatever it is. You have that right for the representation of attorney, so that although you are the one who's going to answer these calls and everything, but these attorneys can make sure that officers are not crossing the line in the line of questioning what they're asking you. They have to ask you the questions what are related to your H1B petition and the bona fideness of the nature of your employer's business and your employment. They cannot go beyond that. And if they go beyond that, then attorneys can stop them asking that. Because he's an officer, he has a power to ask you any question. No, he does not. He also required to be abided by the regulations and the laws. So you all have to understand with the site visits. Okay, make sure that you gain complete knowledge about your petition before you speak with any officer. Review your H1B filing copy. Make sure what is the position is all about. What are the job responsibilities are? What are the job requirements? Requirements means what are the educational and experience requirements for the position? What is the salary offered? What is the work location stated in the H1B petition? And where are you working right now? You know, whether the work location stated in the H1B petition and LCA is within the same intended area of employment where you are currently located or not. And what is your pay stubs are being run? What is your pay cycle of your employer? Whether your pay stubs are in compliance with H1B regulations or not. You have to make sure all that information. Same thing with the employers also, you know. And employers, they'll ask you also, well, how many employees you have? How did you find these employees to hire? Same thing with the employees also. They'll ask, how did you find this employer and how did you get this job opportunity? What is the process of hiring? These general questions will come. You know, there'll be. I can give you hundreds of sample questions what generally come in the site visits, but that may, you know, that can guide you guys to a certain level. But point is, in the end, common sense prevails. Okay, and we have to have that common sense and have to be polite. Have to have that calmness while we're addressing these issues during the site visits. It's very, very important for us to handle the site visits very calmly, you know. And I think these are the topics I want to give a general synopsis, and that's what I've discussed about these things. Praveen, anything else you want me to add? Please let me know.
Sure. Great, Bhanugaru. Thank you so much for your valuable insights. And yes, this is definitely need of the hour, and your insights helps us a lot and to the entire community as well. I have a few questions. So regarding H1B, there was a multiple registrations process, meaning like employer can an employee can do multiple registrations with multiple companies, right? So Is it still allowed, or how is it handled under the new law?
See, as long as the employer is not related or affiliated to each other, then and the each and every employer is different and unique, and they have a bona fide job offer, and those employers can register on behalf of the same individual. Okay, so that is still allowed. What is not allowed is duplicate registrations by the same employer or their affiliates on behalf of the same individual. So the processes remain the same in the past, and now also the same thing right now, Praveen.
Okay, thank you. And for a new cap season, is there anything specifically that the employer, because I'm kind of getting into the show as an employer, because we have few participants that are employers as well, in the best interest of them asking this question. So is there anything new that as an employer one should be aware of for this new cap registration, or is it going to be the same process that happened in 2026?
As I said, everything is same. The registration account is the same. Everything is same. You should be able to submit the lottery registration from March 4th, noon Eastern time onwards. But only the difference between the previously and here is, in addition to the minimal information, now you're required to provide job title and the obviously SOC classification of the job, on which category it comes in, and the level of the wages you're going to offer, and actual wages what you're offering for the employee. Okay, so that information is an additional information which employer is required to provide right now. That means employer should determine what will be the work location of that employees at the time of registration itself. In the previously, it was not required. Previously, you could just register. Once you get selected in the petition, then the employer can decide where the employee can work, and based upon that, they can obtain an LCA and file an H-1B petition. But now you need to determine where the employee is actually going to work at the time of registration itself.
Okay, thank you. That helps. And so now, like, a lot of families are really concerned about visa stamping. So what is the reason? Is there any reason, like, why there is so much delay, and why are they pushing it back till end of 2026 or 2027? Because people travel on emergency to India because of the family issues or health concerns or whatnot, right? Do you foresee that it's going to change a bit, or like what is your anticipation on this?
See, in the month of November or in December, Department of State issued a policy saying that they made a changes to the visa adjudication policies, where they said that due to the national security concerns, they would like to do the social media vetting of an H-1B workers and H-4 dependents who are coming into this country, because of some incident happened somewhere in Minneapolis or somewhere, something like that. They want to make sure that some Afghani individual, the issue happened with some Afghani individual who came into this country. And from that, they said that they want to make sure that what kind of a political lenience they have, and what kind of a political sentiments they have or affiliations they have in their social media, to make sure that they're not allowing somebody to come into this country utilizing this H-1B program and H-4 program, and try to come and create some national threat, some to the United States or anything like that, or some kind of a terrorist activity in the United States which can cause harm to the United States overall, right? And because of this policy change, they said that in all the consulates in India have given a circular saying that they cannot adjudicate these visas, H1s and H4s, because they have to do the social media vetting of all these individuals. Therefore, they're postponing those appointments. I think it is an excuse for them to delay as long as possible to issue visas for H1s and H4s. And I think that is in conjunction with the current administration policy. We know that they're very much against the H-1B program. They want to really stop H-1Bs to issue also to anybody, so that they can come and work on H-1Bs, because there is a strong sentiment in the general public that H-1B program is taking away jobs from the US workers. Okay, which may not be correct, but that misconceptions towards the H-1B program is what causing these things. That's what I believe. But the reason what the Department of State is telling is that because of the social media vetting is pending for these individuals, they cannot issue visas. Their appointments are being postponed for that reason. But these appointments have been postponed for a year and more than a year now for certain individuals. And these people are stuck over there, unfortunately, especially H4s. It's very inconvenient for them because the children are here who are basically probably 1 year, 2 year old children, and the H4 spouses are there. And there is a huge family separation over here.
Yeah, that was really great. So, and yeah, you called out about don'ts in this current market situation and the market conditions, which is really helpful. But my advice for all the students are like what individuals who joined this call, right? So yeah, we are seeing news everywhere now. You just type in YouTube what's going on, like silly things like as Banugaru mentioned, the small like petty thefts from a grocery store, like $2, $3 thing doesn't matter. Like don't toll your life for the silly things, guys. So that is very important. And also, Banugaru, see now like a lot of things happening in terms of fraud activities, right? Like where like a lot of people got caught and they were jailed too. So and few operations happening from India or wherever. Like so, how do our students like be vigilant about controlling such things and avoiding them? So
I mean, see, the point is they have to be careful with whom they're associating with, Praveen Garu, in the society. Okay. And unfortunately, we recently saw this news in the Dallas also, where the jeweler shops are doing gold laundering and up to $55 million in the entire state of Texas, basically. And these shops are located in the Irving and in the Frisco in Dallas area, metro area. And unfortunately, those people are Indian origin people. And because they're Indian origin people, it's going to give a huge remark on the Indian community overall. They say that all Indians are like this. No, that's what people will try to take advantage of that. As a students, if you become a victim of that kind of schemes run by these people, because you're trying to work off campus, uh, it is basically you'll end up in trouble. The reason is, first of all, working off campus is unauthorized. It's not legal. Okay. And as a full-time student, because as a full-time student, you can only work 20 hours per week on campus. Unless you can take a permission from the school for severe economic hardship and get a CPT authorization to work off campus while you're pursuing a full-time education in the school, up to 20 hours per week, you cannot work off campus. Mr. Suresh Karu, could you please mute Andy?
Yeah, I think I am going to mute him. Yeah, sorry for that, Banagar.
Yeah, that's fine. And so that is a problem here. And these students have to understand that they have to be very careful how they behave on the streets and everywhere. If they come and behave like as if they are children in India, how they behave in India here, it's going to be a problem. And the students are coming here to study, pursue their graduate education, not high school or anything like that. They're no longer teenagers here. Okay, they have to understand the culture and the norms of the society over here and behave accordingly. They don't have to dance on the streets and or play music on the streets, or they don't have to go and make whistles in the theater rooms, cinema theaters, and everything. All these things they don't have to do it. So I mean, it's all about how you culminate yourself into the society where you are living in is very, very important for these students. And that's why we tell them, the students, to learn these things first, get awareness about these things, and accordingly you'll be fine. But point is, you have to be careful. Make sure that you don't drink and drive, and have a designated driver. If you can't afford a Uber, have a designated driver. Let one guy sacrifice drinking on that day. Okay, let others people drink, enjoy, have fun. Same thing with with anything else. Don't do, as I said, don't do petty theft. Don't involve into any petty thefts or those kind of cheap, silly things. Because we hear so many complaints, so many calls from the students coming saying that, sir, I've been charged with petty theft because there was $25 item has been not been billed or not been charged. So those are the things try to avoid. I mean, these are the things which they have to avoid. I don't know how to explain to them, but it's something which self-awareness has to come to an individual on how to conduct themselves. As long as they do that, I think they'll be fine. My advice is make sure that before that, make sure that your immigration documents are also proper. That means you check your I-94, make sure that your I-94 is proper or not, print them out, keep them with you, keep them safe with you. And you don't have to worry about as long as you are in compliance, you're following proper regulations and everything, and you're conducting yourself properly, you have nothing to worry about.
Yeah, definitely, Banu. I think like respecting the law of the land is very important. So you respect where you are, be a Roman in Rome, and that's very important, and be compliant. So because there is a long way to go, right? Don't look for shortcuts for anything. So as you rightly said, like yeah, a lot of students are like have to follow this. Everyone has to follow. And also, Banu Garu, so this site visits is kind of really concerning. So do you think like is there any mechanism that USCIS follows to trigger this site visits, or is it just on a random basis?
It's always random. There is no particular mechanism or anything like that. It's always random. But while random site visits are happening, if they find any information that can be a cause of a concern, then they can do more site visits to verify whether the company is in compliance or not. Okay, but usually every site visit is a random, and most of the offices do disclose that also, saying that it's a random selection process, and there's nothing else about the company or anything, because it's a random selection process, because you consent at the time of filing of an H-1B petition that you will be subject yourself to the site visit. So they're conducting this site visit, and that's what it is. So there is no particular area of concern really, Praveen Garu, in this issue. But yes, if there are so many issues that are arising with that employee, if any particular employer, then it can become a cause of concern, because they can flag the company and do more random compliance visits to the company. But it's very rare. I've not seen in my all these years of experience, I've not seen anything like that happening to any of my clients.
Great. Thank you so much, Banu Garu. I think like even like our participants have a lot of questions. Then I'll pass it on to our RVP Dinesh Reddy Sudula to take it forward. And Dinesh, like over to you. Maybe pick like without repetition, like whatever like best questions that you have, we can ask Banu Garu. I think like we can maybe limit it up to like maybe 10 questions. That way, like we really don't go too long. So
Yeah,
thank
okay.
you.
I think quite a few questions are coming in. Yeah, before I get into somebody else, I just have a generic question, Banu Garu. Like, so as you said, there is a lot of uproar, negative, some kind of a rhetoric going on towards our Indian, especially H1B community, right? So as a group, as a team, I mean, immigration attorney community, are you guys taking any specific actions to counteract this misinformation towards us to protect these skilled immigrations?
Anytime, anywhere, wherever there's a possibility for us, we try to educate the people what H-1B program is all about, and how H-1B program is not actually taking away the jobs from the US workers, but how it is actually creating jobs to the US workers. Okay, it is important for us not to fear. It is important for us to work with the data and provide the data about that to the general public. Problem here is we are worried about canceling us when we go and talk in the social media. We try to ourselves covered in that particular matter. You don't have to. See, I understand in social media like X and all these platforms, they become more anti-immigrant base and everything. 1,000 people may troll you, 1,000 people may attack you. It's not going to happen anything to you because it's in the social media. It's not going to harm you. But I think you still have a First Amendment in this country. You have a freedom to express what you can express. Once people start doing that, slowly coming back, don't worry, not being afraid that something will happen to them if they express themselves in the social media. and they provide this positive feeding and everything, yeah, you may be harassed online by many people. Don't worry about that. Let them harass you. You need to be able to take that out. Then it will start going away. Those threats will start coming up. And because of this fear and everything, we are so succumbed right now, we are not even counteracting anything what they're saying online. That means you're actually giving enough ammunition to them to tell you more on that. Sometimes it's important for us to make them educated. They can say whatever they want to say. They also know that what they're saying is BS. For instance, recently in Texas, a lot of employers are receiving letters from some organizations saying that demanding them to provide copies of the LCAs, copies of the public access files to them. Regulations do not require employer to provide copies of public access files to anyone. But they're saying that it is required by law, and if you don't give, we are going to make sure that your company will be shut down, you'll be arrested and everything. This is what those letters are saying. You can't get away succumbed with those kind of threats, those kind of intimidations online or anywhere else. Okay? It's important for us to understand what the regulations are and how it is important everything. See, every year, totally in US, how many jobs are being created? 2.4 to 2.5 million jobs are created in the US every year. H-1B visa program only authorizes 85,000 jobs for the foreign workers in this country. Of course, every year 85,000, there will be several people in that way, but still, these are the other people who are in H-1B are already existing jobs. They're not created jobs this year. And those existing jobs are already being counted towards the 2.4 million jobs that have been created in the past year.
Yeah.
It's important for us to make people understand these differences, these nuances when they talk randomly, this data, this BS online. It's important for us to make them understand that it's only 85,000, and these are highly skilled workers also. Bachelor's degree is required. Yes, regulations require. That's what the regulations require. Whatever the regulations require, that is the minimum qualification which these people have. Regulation does not require you to have a exceptional knowledge or extraordinary knowledge. It requires you to have a specialized knowledge, a specialty occupation. We have to explain to them. We have to give them. Of course, people will troll you. People will go behind you. Like anything, you may get personal harassment letters also, emails also, texts also, because of your phone, because of your ID, because of your email ID. But it doesn't mean that you can't take that one. You have to be truthful in telling the fact. You don't have to be offensive. You just provide proper information. This is what H-1B is all about. As long as we provide that awareness, we bring that thing, then people will stop hating H-1B program. Problem is, it's not just H-1B program. I think it's overall sentiment against the Indian community going on in the country right now. That is because of the wealth we are showcasing, because of the positions we are holding in the Fortune 500 companies, people who are in Indian origin, this thing. I think that is what is causing this jealousy, envy, and hate towards the Indian community overall in the country.
You might have noticed this, the viral video, Sarah Gonzalez.
Don't worry about those things. Just don't give view bites to her. If you keep on watching those things, you're giving view bites to her, and she'll get more money from YouTube and everybody. Don't do that. Stop watching that video. That's my advice. Stop watching these videos. If you start watching, you're giving more bites to them, you're giving more power to them.
Sure. Okay. First question from Ravinder. Yeah, I think this is pretty much, I expected this. So recently 75 countries immigration ban happened. How does this help India EB2 program? Does this convert family-based employment? So basically what his question is like, since they stopped the immigration from 75 countries, is it going to help our employment-based green cards?
It may. The reason why I'm using the word may is it is not certain, because it's up to the Department of State whether they would like to allocate those unused immigrant visas in the family-based category for fiscal year 2026 to the fiscal year 2027 employment-based category or not. In the past, historically, they keep on doing that every year. So we expect that they're going to do the same thing next year also. And if they do that, definitely this time employment-based category visa numbers will be more for the fiscal year 2027. And because of that, we'll have more visa numbers available to us on the 7% allocation of the employment-based category visas to the Indian nationals. In that way, EB2 category and EB3 category, as well as EB1 category, might benefit a lot with this prohibition on immigrant visa issuances from the 75 countries.
Same phenomenon what we experienced during the pandemic.
During the COVID, yeah, during the COVID pandemic and everything. And that's why it may overall benefit, actually it should, it may benefit Indian nationals in the coming years if the green cards are pending, okay? But as I said, Department of State has to allocate that, and so what if they stop it? They don't allocate it. And even if they allocate it, what if they don't use those numbers? If they don't adjudicate the petitions? So those are the questions will come in. We have to understand those things. But if you really ask me, as per the regulations and as per the historical data, what we have, and the history of the actions, what they have done in the past, it's likely that these unused numbers will be available to the next year fiscal year in employment-based category, which may eventually will benefit Indian nationals because the number of availability of visas will increase because of the 7% allocation for each country for the fiscal year.
Sure. Second question, it's more of a personal one, but can we transfer H1B with I-797C to new employer?
What do you mean by 797C?
I believe it's a consular processing, I guess. Priyanka.
797B is usually the approval notice with the consular processing. 797C can be either receipt notice or a courtesy copy. Courtesy copy can be even for the proper H1B status in this country or a consular processing also. So I just want to make sure what is 797C she's talking about.
I'm not sure either. I-94 website do not have latest H1B renewal I-797A. Is it fine?
Absolutely, because you have a I-94 attached to your I-797A, if that is the latest one, and that is the I-94 which comes into effect in the latest. Okay, that means if somebody traveled abroad and entered into this country on H1B, then they have a I-94 given online. But once they enter into this country on H1B and they file an extension of status, and if that extension of status is approved, that approval notice will have a I-94 in the bottom. That is why it is Form I-797A, because I-94 is attached to it in the bottom. And that I-94 is the latest I-94, and that governs their status.
Does Masters Cap will get 4+4 chances if they will be in the level 4? First 4 chances for general quota and the second 4 chances are for master quota. So basically, yeah.
That is correct. They'll have 4 entries basically, not 4 and 4. It's not total 8. They'll have only 4 entries. Point is, they will be first put to the master's quota. If they don't get into it, then they'll put into the general quota.
Okay.
Yeah.
Applying from premium H1B renewal, and can spouse convert to H4 and get EAD in premium?
Not necessarily required. Sometimes, depending upon the discretion of the officers, sometimes they can do that, sometimes they don't. But if you're filing H4 and H4 EAD separately, not with H1B, then there is no premium processing available.
Okay.
And if you file it in premium processing along with the H1B concurrently, also, there is no guarantee that H4 and H4 EAD will be approved along with the H1B.
My employer filed my H1B petition in 2025, but my case is still in processing. Is it normal to have wait time over 6 months in current scenario?
Current scenario, it's within the normal processing time. But if you think that it's taking too much time, it's better to file it in premium processing, convert into premium processing.
My H1B is set to expire in July 2026. I would appreciate your advice. Okay, I think it's kind of more of a redundant question, same like whether he wants to convert to a premium or not. Uh, my STEM OPT is completed and I am doing second masters. Is there any update from USCIS that second masters is not valid?
Not yet. No such update yet. There's nothing says second masters is not valid. What they said is the proposed F1 regulation says that is individual will not be able to do the second masters once the regulations are passed. They're not talking about the people who are already registered for the second masters. Okay. And but with some exceptions to that. So if they qualify for those exceptions, then they will be able to do the second masters also. We have to see what those exceptions are in the final regulations that are going to be published by the Department of Homeland Security very soon, where they're going to make overall changes to the F1 program itself.
Do we require to open doors if ICE knock on our doors?
No, you don't have to. Unless they have a search warrant, you don't have to.
Okay.
I advise not to open also if the ICE knocks on the door.
But do they have a right to barge in? Or
That's what I'm
no?
saying. Legally, they cannot. Legally, they cannot. But the point is, with the current administration, what we have seen is uh, what we have heard in the news media. We are not truth. I'm not privy to any live information or anything like that. Whatever we heard in the media or in the news cycles and everything is that the ICE is not following the law.
Yeah.
They are not following the law, and they're breaking into the house and barging into the house to arrest people and pull the people out of their houses. That's what the complaint. What a lot of human rights activists or anti-ICE activists are making claims in the news media channels and social media channels. I'm not privy to it, so I can't really comment on that. But this is what information we are having based upon the social media and everything.
Is there any legit workaround to get into the H1B lottery process if the salary falls under level 1, like making the location remote or something?
The least you can file is level 1. I mean, you cannot file anything less than that. But the point is, they can file it on hourly basis or they can file it on an annual basis. And H1B can be part-time or a full-time. H1 need not be full-time. You all have to understand, H1B employment need not be a full-time employment. It can be a part-time employment also. The requirement for H1B is whether the position qualifies as a specialty occupation or not. Okay, part-time means it can be 10 hours, it can be 15 hours, it can be 20 hours per week, it can be 30 hours per week. Okay, it doesn't have to be full-time position H1B. So they can offer you on hourly basis level 1 and do the registration for you as a part-time position rather than as a full-time position. That can be done. That is only the workaround on this thing. That is something which you have to discuss with your employer and see how it can be done. There is nothing lower than level 1, unfortunately.
My STEM OPT is set to expire in mid-July 2026, and I am currently on CPT. I plan to participate in a 10-day global university academic trip to South Africa. Could this raise any concern at re-entry of the port of entry? I would appreciate.
Check the travel restriction to South Africa. I think we have some kind of a conflict going on with South Africa now. So check that out first of all, whether you have any travel restrictions to go to South Africa or not. And do you have a valid visa, F1 visa or not? If you don't have a valid F1 visa, then you won't be able to come back from South Africa to US. You have to go to India, get stamped and then come back. Or unless you can establish residence in South Africa for more than whatever the residence requirements are there for them, and then you can apply for a visa at the South Africa if you don't have a valid visa. But make sure you check Department of State website, travel website, see if there are any travel restrictions to travel to South Africa. I know that there is some kind of a conflict is going on between South Africa and the US. So make sure that.
So Dinesh, maybe let's take two last questions.
Yeah.
Best and okay,
That's
and then wrap it up. Yeah.
Is that a problem if H4 EAD was filed 14 days after expiry date on EAD card?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question, please?
Will there be any problem if H4 EAD is filed after the expiry of 14 days?
After the expiry of?
After the expiry of their EAD? Maybe
There's
looks like
no,
looks
there is
like
no
they filed
problem.
it after 14 days.
There is no problem. It's up to them when they want to file for an EAD. But the point is, it won't be a renewal. It will be a new EAD again. Okay, and they cannot work after expiration of EAD.
Yeah, seems like a lot of redundant questions. I mean,
Mhm.
yeah, another question. I think somebody's texted me.
Mhm.
Looks like he traveled to India and he has a Mexico visa. Can he fly to Mexico and cross the border
How can he cross the border?
through I-797 approved?
No, he cannot because he's talking about the automatic visa revalidation rule.
Yes,
Problem is, AVR rule will be applicable if he traveled within 100 miles of the Mexico. He has to show the entry into Mexico from the US border, which he doesn't have it. Okay. And it has to be within 30 days, he has to return back to India also on the AVR.
of course.
Okay. In and out has to be from US to Mexico, Mexico to US under the AVR. This is trying to way around, come around, and they'll get into trouble if they try to be too over smart like this.
Is it possible to apply for H-1B this year for those who are already in US with H-4 status without the 100K payment?
Yes.
Yes.
If they're filing for a change of status within the United States, then they're not subject to 100K fee. That's why all these F1 students are able to qualify for this lottery registration. That's a very good news, actually. That update given by the USA is very relieving.
Yeah. I am currently on my initial OPT and I have my own LLC and currently in process to get it e-verified. Is there a way I can self-sponsor myself for H-1B or continue working as a CEO during the STEM OPT?
The problem with the self-sponsorship petition is that him being the owner of the company, and there is no any other established board or any other shareholder or a member in the company, because it's an LLC. That's what he said. There is no other member in the company who's involved in the decision-making, hiring process for that company, who has ability to hire, fire, or control the individuals whom they're hiring, then it may not be appropriate for him to self-petition H-1B petition, because it's likely that H-1B petition will be denied. Okay, so if you should have another member who has that authority in the company, he can be a CEO of the entity. There's nothing wrong with it, but there should be somebody else in that entity who can be having that hiring authority, or establish a independent board which has a power to make decisions on behalf of their entity. And if you do that, even if you have a majority ownership, you will still be able to get an H-1B from that company, and that H-1B will be approved only for 18 months. But to park yourself by filing a self-petition H-1B and doing something else outside will not help you.
Okay.
Because they will do the site visit and they'll see what are the activities of that H-1B entity also. And if there are no activities in the H-1B petition because you're doing day trading or something else outside, you'll end up in trouble because you basically misuse or abuse the H-1B program. But being a majority shareholder, you are okay to get an H-1B from the same entity, provided, as I said, having independent board or some other individual who has an authority to hire, fire, or right to control. It's a good question.
Yeah. Sir, can you please update the latest H-1B filing details for 2027? Do we need SOC from Wage DOL website? How does the process going to be for the latest change in update for H-1B visa?
I think that is what we discussed the whole time. I
Yeah.
think he should have listened the entire session. If you
I
want me
think
to,
we are already
Yeah,
over the limit, Banu Garu. So maybe let's take a pause and definitely we can do one more webinar as the need arrives.
sure,
But for anyone, like if they need any help from Banu Garu, reach them out. You can Google BBLR group and reach out to Banu Garu's office and you can schedule a meeting with him. Okay. And thank you so much, Banu Garu, for all the insights. You are always there for the community. Appreciate it. And thanks to all the TTA leadership for the wonderful platform. So, Kavita Garu, Jyotakar, do you have anything in the last minute to say?
No,
Yeah.
I think we can close, Praveer. Bye.
All right. Thank you so much, everyone. Hope you
Yeah, absolutely. It
get
is
some insights.
a great meeting. Bhanugaru, thank you very much for helping us all the time. And Dinesh Sudla did a great job. Praveen brother, awesome. And right time, right information we have shared. And also regarding H1B filing, and again, we need to do one more time. Thank you, one and all.
definitely.
Yeah.
Thank you, already.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Banu Garu, once again. And thanks, everyone. Have a good rest of the weekend. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you,
Yeah.
Praveen.
Thank you. Thank you
Everyone.
so much. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you,
Thank
TTA,
you.
for providing this wonderful platform. Thank you. Thank you.
thank you,
Thanks.
Banu Garu.
Thank you. Thank you.